Hi everyone, this is Donnie Lowy from Closeoutexplosion.com. Today I'd like to introduce you to the term liquidation wholesale. If you've heard the term, I'd like to give you an explanation for what it is. So as you know, wholesale is the supply of merchandise to retailers and to all types of resellers. It can be to another wholesaler, it could be to a closeout business, to a 99-cent store, to a flea market vendor, to an eBay seller, and as it may be, it's merchandise which is priced at a point at which the reseller can make money when he sells that merchandise. Now, liquidation wholesale refers to merchandise that is being sold into the wholesale market, but it's being sold because it is a liquidation. In other words, let's say there was a company that manufactured men's leather belts, and the company now has gone out of business. They've lost their contract where they were supplying, maybe they were supplying Walmart, or maybe they were supplying a brand name, and they were labeling the belts for the brand name, and now they have all that clothing left over, right? They have all those leather belts which they can't sell, and it might be, if they make clothing, it could be clothing or shoes or handbags or socks, whatever it might be. But now we'll look at that item, and let's assume there's no brand name on it, because if there's a brand name, it might actually belong to the brand name, not to the factory. But now let's say the factory who makes those leather belts has gone out of business. A liquidator either buys out the factory, or he works on behalf of a lawyer who is representing the creditors, or the factory themselves just want to liquidate that merchandise. That's a liquidation wholesale opportunity. It's merchandise which you could buy for literally pennies on the dollar, but it's differentiated from wholesale merchandise in the respect that you're not going to be able to buy it on a steady basis. So if you do see a liquidation wholesale opportunity, you have to be able to make a quick decision, because the merchandise is not going to be there again, and on the upside, that merchandise is being sold, or should be sold, at such a low wholesale price where you could really make money on it. And it might be challenging to sell, because let's say the example of leather belts, you might not need 5,000 or 10,000 leather belts, but if you buy them at a low enough price, it'll be worthwhile for you, depending on your finances, to put that merchandise into storage and to sell it little by little. Now remember, the lower price you pay for that wholesale merchandise, the more money you'll make if you sell it on a slower basis, or you have the opportunity to liquidate it really quickly, because you could charge a lower retail or a lower wholesale price for that merchandise. Let's say the leather belt was originally sold to department stores at $4 each, and the department store retailed it at $19.99. Now the factory is liquidating their belts because you're going out of business, and you buy those belts at $1 each. If you offer them for $2 each to your customers, they'll realize what a great deal it is, and they'll be encouraged to buy a lot more than they would usually buy. And even if they buy the same amount that they would regularly buy, they'll come back to you more often and on a faster basis, because they'll be able to sell them to their customers also faster. Alright, so liquidation wholesale is definitely a good opportunity, but you just have to make sure that you do have customers for what it is that you're buying, and also do your research to make sure that you really are paying a true liquidation wholesale price, which should be substantially below the regular wholesale price. Alright, you're welcome to visit my warehouse in New York. My website is closeoutexplosion.com. Have a great day.